We'll be talking next to our guest, Kashifa Ancer, campaign manager for Rethink Your Drink. And essentially, we said that Parliament is seriously considering pulling the handbrake on South Africa's drinking culture. We're talking zero tolerance. We're talking a lifetime driving ban if you're caught, and maybe even raising that legal drinking age to 21. And is this the safety reset we need? That's the big question we put to Kashifa Ancer, campaign manager for Rethink Your Drink. Welcome, Kashifa. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your campaign has been rather vocal about raising the legal drinking age. Let's get an understanding of the age of 21, the magic number. Is it about the prefrontal cortex? Is it about maturity? Is there a scientific basis for your argument?
Well, yes. So, raising the legal drinking age from 18 to 21, I mean, as you captured just now, encompasses so many different things. The main goal of that policy recommendation is to delay onset of drinking to be as late as possible. And international examples, like places in the US, for instance, who've had their drinking age raised to 21, show that there is significant reduction in harm for people between the ages of 18 and 20 when the legal drinking age was raised to 21. You spoke about neurological development as well. The brain is still developing up until the age of 25 years old. So delaying the onset of drinking helps our brains develop much stronger and on a much better footing than they would with an early onset of drinking. Coupled with enforcement and a package of other laws like restricting advertising, etc., it can be a significant factor in reducing drinking among young people and underage children.
We have a very ingrained drinking culture in South Africa. Is Rethink Your Drink about total abstinence, or are you trying to teach South Africans how to have a different relationship with alcohol?
It's the latter for the Rethink Your Drink campaign. So, the Rethink Your Drink campaign is a reimagined campaign by the DG Murray Trust. And for years, the DG Murray Trust has had the opinion that the harm comes more from heavy and binge drinking than it does from low to moderate alcohol consumption. So the Rethink Your Drink campaign is absolutely not prohibitionist by nature. We do want stricter alcohol laws to be in place. We do want things like the draft liquor amendment bill to move forward. And all of this is to ensure that we reduce the amount of drinking that is happening as opposed to completely eliminating alcohol. That would be completely impractical. Alcohol has been around for a very long time. We have an entire industry that exists because of it. But we do want to encourage society at large to prioritize low to moderate drinking. And so the policies that we're pushing for are policies that are going to help create an environment that supports low to moderate drinking, as opposed to ones that exist now that are the opposite, that sometimes can be seen to encourage heavy or binge drinking, or not really work to curb that as much as it potentially could.
Yeah, I think we can claim some successes on the tobacco front. We're not able to claim the same successes on the alcohol front. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, the tobacco challenge was a fight that took years. Years to convince people that the tobacco industry, for example, wouldn't just collapse if stronger laws like advertising, for example, existed, and they didn't. And so the same kind of arguments and the same kind of fights are being had when it comes to liquor legislature and alcohol reform in the country, is to say that we need to start looking at the real impact of what's happening in South Africa. Alcohol harm costs us a really big penny, 10 to 12% of GDP, which is up to 4 times as much as what the actual alcohol industry brings into GDP or contributes to GDP. And so when we look at the numbers in that way, and we look at the kind of harm that we're experiencing, we look at just this past festive season, a massive spike in drink driving arrests, for example. we're looking at it and we're saying what is it that we can do to curb that, and that's where alcohol reform comes in. It's been a challenge for 10 years or even longer in South Africa. The draft liquor amendment bill, for example, has been on ice since 2016. And so when these conversations come up, like Minister of Transport Barbara Creesy's comments around being stricter around drink driving laws, etc., come up, we're kind of sitting here going, we've been saying this. We've been calling for stricter regulation, and we don't want to be reactive in the way that we respond to alcohol harm, and we want to be proactive, and we want to be preventative. And so that's what liquor reform is actually about.
Okay, so Parliament now putting lifetime driving bans for offenders on the table for the discussion. We have laws. We have laws that should be keeping our roads safer. In blood, less than 0.5 grams per 100 milliliters. In breath, less than 0.24 milligrams per 1,000 millimeters. These laws are not keeping our roads safe. So can I conclude that laws is not all that we need?
Laws is not all that we need. We need strong enforcement. And we definitely need a major cultural shift in South Africa. South Africa's drinking culture has been shaped to be one largely of merely acceptance. So if we look at drink driving, for example, it's become incredibly normalized to get behind the wheel after having consumed any amount of alcohol. And I think Parliament's position on this is to say, how can we radically shift this kind of culture that we've established over the years in a way that is going to have South Africans click and say, actually, this is not right. I think, and I think the proposals coming out now for drink driving are wanting to be as prescriptive and protective as they possibly can, so that there is no leeway. That we're seeing now, as you said, like the law just isn't enough. So, and I think their attitude is to say, how can we make sure that the law encompasses absolutely every kind of safety measure that we can adopt, and that's what the intention is, I think.
Disregard for the laws at this moment in time, and as a campaigner, do you think that losing, or the fear of losing, a license forever is more effective a deterrent than the current one? The fines, maybe, or the jail time?
I mean, I think so. I think knowing that there can be quite a significant consequence, is something that would push people to maybe make different choices. And I think that's kind of the goal with this, is that we really need to find ways to have people make different choices. If you feel like you can get away with it, you may just keep trying. But these kind of significant consequences that maybe will have a significant shift in your life, in practicality, you won't be able to just get into your car and drive somewhere anymore, even when you are sober, could pose challenges. And so that's the kind of thing that these laws are trying to do, is to say, what can we really do to help people make different choices? And if we can say, hey, we're going to take away your license, is that going to make you make a different choice? I think for a lot of people it would.
Yeah, and again, I think you are saying the objectives are different. Smoking is now viewed as socially unacceptable, looked down on, people that practice that bad habit. It's not the same thing that you want for alcohol, if I'm hearing you correctly, Kashifa.
Yeah, it's not the same thing that we want. Our campaign, in the way that we work, in the way that we communicate, is very deliberate in not shaming drinking, in not making it seem as though it is this bad or taboo behavior. But what we do want people to understand, that just as with smoking, you are aware of the risks associated with it. And with alcohol as well, we want people to be fully aware of the risks associated with consumption, and be able to then make an informed decision to say, I'm well aware of what this could do for my health. I'm well aware of what this could do to my family, to my extended community, and I'm making that informed decision to consume alcohol. And I know what the levels are for heavy and binge drinking. I know that more than 5 drinks is considered in a sitting is considered heavy drinking, so I know kind of where to pace myself and so on. And I think the challenge largely with advocating for this kind of policy change also is that there isn't a nationwide kind of understanding of the impact of alcohol, on the person as an individual, their family, and then the community at large. And as I've said earlier, we've largely just normalized the kind of behavior that is associated with heavy and binge drinking. And we've also accepted, the harms that come with it as kind of like a consolidation prize. We've said, well, okay, that's what happens and that's who South Africans are, and we move on. But we're really trying to shift that narrative. We don't want to shame people who drink, shame people who choose to consume alcohol, but really want them to understand what the impact is and be able to rely on their networks and their communities for support if it is a behavior that they want to change.
And we're gonna wrap it there. Thank you very much for your time, Kashifa Ancer, campaign manager for Rethink Your Drink. 21, the age, is proposed, and of course 0 in the blood to drive as well. That's being considered by Parliament.